I'm Frank Powers, and this is Lifestyle Tucson, the program where I speak to our neighbors, the people behind the scenes of our amazing organizations and nonprofits. Our friends are informing you how they serve our community, and they're here to give you updates on future projects. Let's make some new friends today. Arizona Lotus has partnered with Diamond Children's and Banner University Medicine to share updates about news and medicine as it relates to Tucson. And I got an email, clickety-clack. Hello, Frank. I wanted to share an idea for an upcoming segment focused on youth mental health. Dr. Gustavo Perez, PhD, specializes in supporting young people facing significant challenges, including depression, anxiety, PTSD, and substance abuse. He can speak to early signs of psychosis in youth ages 15 to 25, what to look out for, and how families and communities can navigate these experiences. Sincerely, Nikai Salcido. And today, I'm fortunate to speak with Dr. Gustavo Perez, PhD, of Banner University Medicine. Doctor, welcome to Lifestyle Tucson.
Thank you for having me here.
I'm very excited to talk to you. I was talking a little bit off air about how important mental health in kids, teens, really any age is so important. But a lot of what we're doing here today is we're going to discuss a lot of the great programs that you've got going on, your amazing team, how hard you're working on all of these programs to help kids. And I really just want to get a little bit of what it is that you do just from you right now, about a little 101 about what you're all about.
Absolutely. Well, once again, thank you for inviting me. I am the director of a program called EPICenter. That stands for Early Psychosis Intervention Center. Long name, but this is what we do. We support young people in the early stages of a psychotic disorder. Now, that's a big word, psychotic disorder. So I'm happy to tell you more about it if you think that would be helpful.
Yes, because sometimes that word, a psychotic disorder, could be a little scary, a psychosis. Some of that stuff, it almost sounds harsh, but it's not. It's just a part of what we call some of these different mental health issues that we have to deal with. Because what is your actual title? What are you? You're a psychologist,
I'm
right?
a psychologist.
Yes.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about your history with this, how long you've been doing it, and how we can help a lot of these young folks deal with maybe burgeoning problems that they might have and how we can help them.
Sure. Well, a little bit about my history. I first wanted to be a journalist, and then I went to college and changed to special education. And I was a middle school teacher for 5 years, the hardest job ever.
I believe it.
And at that point, I decided, I think I'm going to switch into psychology. And 20 years later, I'm doing what I'm doing.
Wow. When did you start pursuing your degree in psychology then? At what age?
22, 23.
Wow, good for you. That's fantastic. I always tell a lot of young folks that sometimes at 18, maybe figure out what you're going to be doing, because you did. You tried a few different things, but then you found your passion a little bit later and went all the way in. When did you graduate? Because it takes a little while, right?
Yes, and I wish I could tell you the year, a long time ago.
Yeah, quite some time.
For psychology, it took me 7 years.
That's what I'm saying. So about 7 years. That's a good long time to go into that practice. So we've got an expert on our hands right here, so you can trust everything that we're going to talk about, because what we're trying to talk about today is helping young people. And you've got a lot of great programs that you're offering. I was going through the list. There's a ton there. What's a good way for people to actually find it online? Because I did a Google search, because it's not just a blank.com. What's a good way for people to find this information that we're talking about, where I found a list of what's going on at the EPICenter?
Good question, because you are right. We don't have an easy website. It's actually pretty long. So I will recommend just Google EPICenter, University of Arizona.
There you go.
And we show up. If you only Google EPICenter Tucson, other things show up.
Okay.
That's not us.
Okay.
Make sure to use U of A.
There you go. And I'll make sure to put a lot of that in the recap as we get closer to the end of the show. All right, so tell me a little bit about what psychosis means, because I know that's what you want to talk about.
Yes, so psychosis basically is a condition when a person loses contact with reality, or at least with a consensus of what reality is. And there are different symptoms that a person may have, and typically it's a young person because it shows up in adolescence on the early 20s. Types of psychosis include hearing something that other people cannot hear. It can be voices, it can be whispers, sounds. It can also be seeing something that other people cannot see, what we call a visual hallucinations. In addition to that, psychosis can also be about beliefs, believing something that you are convinced is true for you, but everybody else tells you is false, such as believing that the FBI is after you, what we call paranoia, or thinking that every person wearing a blue sweater can read your mind. And those are experiences that for the young person are very real and particularly difficult because everybody else is telling you, that's not true, that's not true, that's not true. Now imagine that you and I, Frank, wake up and we say, I live in Tucson, Arizona, and everybody tells you, that's not true, that's not true, that's not true. That's pretty difficult to deal with.
Yeah.
And in addition to the typical symptoms of psychosis, we also have problems with organizing thoughts and organizing language. So the brain starts to do this kind of complicated things that doesn't respond the way it's supposed to. So it makes your life as a young person all of a sudden very difficult. And all combined, that's what we call a psychotic episode or a psychotic disorder. It's different for everybody. So some people may have just a little bit, some people may have a lot of it.
I feel I myself, sometimes I relate a little too much on this show. But when I was younger, have definitely dealt with like certain aspects of some of these things. And sometimes when you find a title for what it is and you name it, it does take away some of its power, or it explains something that you might be dealing with. And I've definitely had some of that in my life where I think I experienced auditory hallucinations, right? And what it is, it's just like you almost hear a humming, you almost hear the weird white noise of my air conditioner. And my brain's trying to be like, oh, that's speech. That's someone talking. And it's trying to suss out what it is, right? So I think I'm hearing voices and I'm like, I'm not, because you don't want to seem like that. And then one day someone kind of told me about auditory hallucinations. And I'm like, oh, is that all this is? And I kind of realized, I'm like, I think that is all what it is. I'm just trying to make that weird noise that's all the way over there, try to make sense. And then I kind of solved it. So I know it's different. And sometimes I know when I try to relate to things, there are obviously people that are truly suffering at much higher levels of that. And maybe I didn't have a little twinkle of it. But I know that I've gone through certain experiences in my life just from another time when it was one of the most scary things of seeing shadows. And hearing that stuff when I had a very high fever once and was hallucinating. And I'll never forget the terror that I felt when reality was not what it was supposed to be for those couple of days from such a horrible experience that was caused by high fever. You can have these feelings and they can be scary, but it doesn't always mean like, well, that's it for you. We got to put you in the rubber room, right? Because there's a lot of different levels of this. I think another one that I know a lot of people that I've grown up with seem to suffer from is that Truman Show concept. You ever feel like the Truman Show? Like someone's looking down upon you as if there's an all-seeing eye? I've had several people that I know in my life go through that and tell me about it. And I'm like, well, you got to kind of move past that because you got to know that that's not true. I know that's how it feels. How do you advise someone who is coming to you and might have some of these thoughts or feelings and you want to be there for them as a friend?
Totally. So you say two things that I first want to follow up on, if I may, Frank. One is that you have had experienced psychosis. I have experienced psychosis myself. There was this time when I didn't sleep for 2 nights and I was seeing things that typically I don't see.
Right.
So psychosis is part of life. It's a human experience, and about 1% of the population lives with some type of psychosis. So part of what we're doing at EPICenter is talk about it, because we need to take away the stigma. As you said earlier, the word almost seems like forbidden. We don't want to say it because it sounds so out there. The second thing that you said is the word suffering. So it becomes a problem when the experience of psychosis is interfering with my life. If the voices that I hear are so loud in my mind or so scary that I cannot leave my house to go to school, now we're talking about a disorder.
Yeah.
And then the next question is then what to do. But I really like how you talk about this is being a human being. Our brains are a mystery, and our brains will do things that we don't understand.
That's a good point. Our brains are a mystery, isn't that? That's a great statement. I just like that a lot. You know what I like to tell people? This room is filled with skeletons because they're inside of us all. It's true. And that's always fun to think about.
All right. I never thought of that one. Yeah. And our brains are a mystery and we are a mystery. So that's also important to keep in mind that we're constantly trying to understand who we are. Part of recovering from a psychotic episode implies hard work to understand what's going on with my brain, what's going on with me, but also for my family and my friends to figure out, hey, what's happening to Gustavo? Hey, what's happening to Frank? Let's talk to him. Let's figure out how we can help him.
A lot of it also for me, and just where is not paying attention to what I'm ingesting. Because there was a time when I'm dealing with all this stuff, some of those feelings, and I'm like, I was drinking 40-something ounces of coffee a day. That's a lot of caffeine. A lot of caffeine late at night. Why did I think I'm an insomniac? You're filled with a chemical. Coffees or caffeine will do it. I've had that happen. And a lot of people like to talk about, oh, marijuana's great. Yeah, sure, it can be, and it could be a fun time, sure. But at the same time, it can really lead to a lot of anxiety and paranoia as well. And I noticed that at a point in my life where I'm like, I got to make sure that I know how I feel without anything and take a break from it so I can trust who I am and I can trust some of my thoughts and see what's interfering. And I deduced that, like, oh, look, a lot of those feelings stop happening late at night. What was I doing late at night? But always be aware when you're talking about who we are inside and the mystery of our minds, what you put in, what you drink, eat, and do is going to affect some of this. Now, again, that might not be what we're talking about today because we are talking about these things, but it's just something I relate too much. I apologize.
Actually, hey, don't apologize for relating. Relating is a good thing. Actually, that's what we're talking about today. So to your point of cannabis, marijuana, weed, pot, pick your word, 15 to 20% of teenagers who smoke marijuana will experience psychosis.
Yeah.
1 out of 5.
Wow.
And in many cases, they will continue to have the symptoms even when the effects of the marijuana are no longer active. About 30% of our new patients, of our new members, we use that word at EPICenter, develop symptoms as a result of substance abuse. So you are right. We are now more cannabis friendly, but we're not talking enough about the risk, especially for young people.
Yeah. Okay. Because aren't people's minds developing all the way till what age?
About 25, 26 years old.
That's what I've always heard. And I was always aware of that. I did not smoke anything until I was about 24. And it was so that I didn't have to take the pain pills because I had a surgery. And I didn't like the way those pain pills made me feel. And we all know the pain pill problem. I feel like I dodged a bullet, but then started using that instead. And then that could lead to different things. But I was kind of always aware of that and always aware of what I'm putting in me. I want to trust who I am. When I see some young people and even friends that are like, I started smoking at 11, and I'm like shocked by that fact. It is something to really acknowledge in young people. Like, be aware. Don't just be taking advantage of all these, vices because, you are what you eat, obviously, we always hear, but you might be what you smoke as well. So be careful. Substance abuse is a lot of a big issue here. Anyway, let me turn it over to you. You are the expert. I'm just talking.
Hey, we have a lot to share.
Yeah.
You were asking earlier about the videos that we have in our website, and basically those videos, the intention for that is to offer education to the community. So once again, if you Google EPICenter, University of Arizona, it will take people to our website. And we have videos for teenagers. It's called Psychosis 101 for teens. We have videos for parents in English and Spanish. We want to reach as many people as possible. And the idea is precisely what you were talking about earlier. Let's name what's going on. Let's educate ourselves, because the more you know about something, the better you can deal with it.
Yes.
And there's a lot of myths around psychosis or psychotic disorders or schizophrenia, which includes a lot of psychotic presentation. And one of our mission is to precisely have better knowledge for people so they are not going on myths, but in facts, and that can lead to better access to care and, as you talk about, prevention of these symptoms.
That's just one of the videos that's on there. There's quite a few. There's Psychosis and Sleep. There's a short introduction. There's Helping Your Loved One with Early Psychosis. And one of the ones that I was referencing a little bit earlier, Seeing Shadows, Hearing Whispers, Psychosis 101 for parents and caregivers. Again, all these videos are there. You'll be able to find them. They're all listed, very easy to watch, listed one after another. So I'll help you do that again in the recap with just doing some good Googling. But watch these videos. I watched a couple of them. They're 15 minutes long. I mean, some of them. They're not just a quick 3-minute thing. it's something to really take a moment, take a breath, and watch this and try to understand what they're showing you, because it can really help. Tell me a little bit now, besides the videos, because videos do what they do, but what if we want to get together? There's a lot of meetups that I saw listed as well. So tell me about some of your meetups and how that works and what the team's really doing to help everybody out.
So I tell people that EPICenter is more than a clinic or a mental health outpatient program. EPICenter is a community. And the reason for that is because when someone is young and experiencing psychosis, they often feel isolated. They don't know anybody else who's going through the same thing. Their families don't know other families who are going through the same thing. And we know that isolation makes problems bigger, and connection really downsizes the problem, because the moment I share with you and you tell me I get it, or me too, then the burden feels a little bit lighter.
Mm-hmm.
That's why we've put a big emphasis in community. Now, to participate in most of our community programming, you have to be a member of EPICenter. So it's not open for the whole community, because we had to protect confidentiality and privacy of our clients. For people who are at EPICenter, we have 4 groups per week. Some groups are used for social connection. Let's not talk about problems. Let's not talk about diagnosis. Let's just talk about life. What movies do you like? Let's play a board game together. Once again, because those spaces may be reduced if you are dealing with such difficult things as hearing voices or feeling very paranoid. It's going to be hard to go to the coffee shop. Well, come with us. Then we have some other groups that are specific for learning techniques to cope with psychosis. We call them therapy groups, different kinds. And then we have groups for our families, for our parents, where they have an opportunity to also learn from each other and with each other, because they have a lot of knowledge. They are the ones who are there with their young ones hour after hour. And sometimes the best information is going to come from them. Now, for the community in general, we are now starting a new program. It's called Humanizing Mental Illness. We just had an event this last Sunday, June 8th, where we are bringing a discussion for the whole community, and we hope to do more in the future. So I'll make sure to give you heads up so you can help us promote those events.
Absolutely, because those events are super important. Is there a way to follow some of the stuff on Instagram? Like, is there an Instagram for the EPICenter yet, or any of the teams doing anything like that, or Facebook, just so that there are maybe where those event pages might go when you're having a big event?
So we cannot have, we're restricted to have TikTok or Instagram, which our young people don't really understand why, but that's restrictions that we have by our organization. However, we do have a University of Arizona psychiatry Facebook page.
Okay.
And that's probably the best way.
Yeah, that's great. And it's the same thing with this. Someone else going through a trial, someone else going through something. It's good to find a companion that might be going through it or going through a different version of it that can just say, hey, don't worry about it. I'm not judging. You can say anything that's on your mind to me, and I know that what you're going through is something that you're going through. No judgment. And it's important to have friends like that. I've been that friend to some people. I was looking at the team. The team does a lot. You yourself handle the multifamily group, it says. So tell me about what the multifamily group is that you run.
That's a group for families of EPICenter, and we do 2 things at the group. One is a space to connect in a safe and confidential manner with other members, other family members. Mm-hmm. And the reason why we do that is because when a person in the family is dealing with a psychotic disorder, the whole family is dealing with a psychotic disorder. One person experiences the symptoms, but everybody experiences the burden. You are a parent. Your child is not leaving the house, doesn't want to shower, is very afraid that someone's going to come and kidnap him. That's going to be very heavy on you as a parent. And it's going to take a burden in your own mental health. So the idea is that by providing this space, they learn from each other, they connect with each other, and they collectively, we as a community, support each other in this journey of helping the young one. the second thing that we do at these groups, we have specific topics. Like we have an expert in our team, Dr. Garcia, on sleep. So she presents periodically on sleep and psychosis. And we have Dr. Toby Sanchez, who is an expert on substance abuse. So he talks about his piece. Dr. Phil Lamb, our psychiatrist, he comes and presents on medication and so on. So the idea is to form community via connecting, but also to provide education, because people really, as you said earlier, are looking for the best information, and it's not easy to find.
So now let me ask you this, because again, seeing is believing. Tell me a success story, just from your experience, because I'm sure you got more than one.
We have plenty of success stories, and I had to tell you, Frank, I have a little bit of a hard time with the word success.
Okay.
Just because for people who are struggling right now, it may seem like, well, I'm not experiencing that, so maybe I'm a failure. And sometimes we put things into categories, success or failure. I like a human experience, right? Let's talk about a positive human experience that someone has been going through. And I think at EPICenter, the stories that resonate with me the most is when someone has been at a very difficult point, meaning in the psychiatric hospital, not sure of what's real, what's not, and then they go into a residential facility, they have lost their job, or they have not been able to continue with school, at a time when all of this is supposed to be happening. Mm-hmm. You are young, this is the time when you're building your life, and all of a sudden, because of the symptoms, you're not able to do that. And to come from that place, it takes a lot of resiliency and commitment and tenacity, and we see that at EPICenter day after day, to the point that people are able to go back to a life they want to live. That involves having a job or having connections that they had lost or having a better understanding of themselves. Mm-hmm. And it may not be the same life they had. I may be someone that I was in medical school, and because of my symptoms, now I'm shifting, and I'm now at Pima Community College with other goals that are different. But if that person feels, this is a path for me that I feel fulfilled, I feel connected, it has purpose for me, that's what I call a very positive human experience. Because that's what all we want.
Yeah.
And we want to have that life where we feel we're connected to others, we have joy, we have the ability to follow our interests. And when someone makes it from a very dark place or difficult place like a psychotic episode to that place of connection and fulfillment, it really is a fantastic day for us.
I can tell. Just looking at you, talking to you as you explain that story, it's the truth, how good that's got to make you feel, because that is something to really probably witness those evolutions of a person, having them go from one end of this to the other. Tell me a secret about your organization.
I don't know if I would say it's a secret, but it's part of a recipe, which I think helps us to do our job well, is that we have dedicated spaces for us to connect as a team weekly and share with each other how we're doing. Because if we're too busy helping others and we don't check with ourselves, we may be experiencing burnout, or we may not be able to ask for help if we need it. And we need to do well. We need to be well so we can provide good services.
That is actually a very good point. I was interested in being a social worker and helping out, but I got a little too afraid of it. I wasn't sure if I could handle the burden of what some of these folks are dealing with. So that is almost, how do you not take some of it on as a doctor? Like, how do you actually do that and not absorb some of it? Or is it inevitable that you do absorb a little bit of it and you're just able to deal with it?
I want to absorb some of it. I want to feel a little bit of the burden so I can be more empathic. I can be more connected with the young people who I'm working with. At the same time, I had to be careful and not to make the burden mine. So some of the things that I do in my personal life is to have a structure for my own mental health and my own physical health. Part of that includes connecting with friends, connecting with family, and also making sure that I understand my limitations. It's important that, and this is also something I tell parents, we cannot be everything for everybody. We have to understand that it takes all of us, and we do a little bit at a time, and it is the addition of what we all do that takes us to a better place.
Well said. My goodness. Any last calls to action for anyone out there that you just want to get a message?
Yes. So the first one will be education. If you want to learn more about psychosis, especially psychosis in young people, please visit our website and check our videos. If you think that you know someone who's struggling with early psychosis, or if you yourself think you are struggling with it, even if you have a question, please give us a call, 694-1234, extension 7. I repeat the number, 694-1234, extension 7. And we'll be happy to talk to you and give you some basic consultation as to if you will be a good match for our program. And if not, we can provide you with other resources. But what's very important is that you seek help or you help a loved one to find help.
That is important. And you know what else is important? Making friends with this man right here. Because today, we made friends with Dr. Gustavo Perez, PhD of Banner University Medicine. Communication is key to psychotherapy and to building lasting relationships. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Hey, Frank. Thank you so much for having me here.
This was Lifestyle Tucson. Bing bong bing, time for a recap. I always love talking to doctors from Banner University. Always a big deal to have doctors here. And I might, again, relate a bit too much. I apologize. You know, I actually record about 40 minutes of conversation because I like to have a conversation with people, and then I'll just edit out a bunch of the nonsense I talk about. You know, sometimes some stuff leaks through because you're sharing. So I appreciated him letting me share as much as he did. And this way, you know, I don't have to pay a copay. But no, that was really good advice and a really interesting topic, almost, again, a heavy topic where we're trying to help people. He says the exact mission is to support young people with early stages of psychotic disorder. A lot of my relating obviously was not that, but he does allow us to know we all deal with psychosis. We're human beings. It's a part of who we are. Our brains are a mystery. I wrote that down because I thought that was a great thing to realize. You want to go find them you can use Google, Bing it perhaps, and find them over at psychiatry.arizona.edu. And then there's some subfolders and things like that where you'll find them under patient care and the EPICenter. Remember, it stands for Early Psychosis Intervention Center. So if you feel that you need support, give them a call at 694-1234, extension 7. Very easy to get in contact with them. Good advice that I obviously need to take myself. We cannot be everything for everybody. So you don't need to be everything for a person in your life that might need some real help. Maybe just be the bridge that gets them where they need to be. You can follow some of this info over on Facebook. Look for the University of Arizona Psychiatry Facebook page and go look for these videos that you'll find there at the website. The big one that I noticed that I was really talking about was seeing shadows, hearing whispers, something that I had experienced one time, like I was saying, with a high fever. But they've got all the answers for you online and at these meetings. And again, that phone number, 694-1234 at extension 7. Get all the details online. Just give them a Google and make sure that you're taking care of yourself and a loved one in your life. I want to thank our new friends at Diamond Children's and Banner University Medicine for joining me today. You've been listening to Lifestyle Tucson. For more information about our program or to listen to something you may have missed, go to the Sunday Mornings page on klpx.com, kfma.com, mixfm.com, espntucson.com, or crankthehangtucson.com. You can also subscribe on iTunes and Spotify or wherever fine podcasts are mentally healthy. I'm your BFF, your best Frank forever, Frank Powers. Toot toot Tucson. I love you the most.